Emma was 28 years old, and she lived in a quiet neighborhood in Chicago. Her life looked perfect to other people. She had a nice husband, a cozy apartment, and a good job at a bookstore. People thought Emma was happy, but inside, Emma felt empty. She smiled when she needed to, but she didn't feel happy at all. Emma married Leo 1 year ago. Leo was a kind and patient man. He always tried to make her happy. Every Friday, Leo brought Emma flowers. He wrote sweet notes and left them with her lunch. Every morning, he kissed her forehead and told her he loved her. He did everything he could to show his love for Emma, but Emma didn't love him. She had married Leo to forget about her ex-boyfriend, Alex. Alex had hurt Emma deeply, and she thought that marrying Leo would help her forget him. But she was wrong. Leo was a wonderful man, but Emma didn't feel the love that he showed her. Every day, Emma woke up and pretended to be happy. She smiled, but she didn't feel it. She acted like a wife, but she felt like a stranger in her own life. She put on makeup, got dressed, and went to work at the bookstore. At work, Emma helped customers and organized books. She laughed when people told jokes, but inside, she was tired of pretending. She was tired of acting like everything was okay when it wasn't. Emma felt like she was living in a story that wasn't hers. At night, Leo would talk about his day. He told Emma about his work and asked her about hers. Emma would say, "It was fine," or "I was a little busy." But Emma wasn't telling the whole truth. She wasn't really lying, but she wasn't being honest either. Sometimes, when Leo looked at her, Emma saw a question in his eyes. She saw fear, like he was wondering why she didn't seem as happy as he was. Maybe Leo knew that something wasn't right. Maybe he felt it, but he never said anything. He just kept trying to make their life better. Leo worked hard to make their home feel warm. He would light candles at dinner and play soft music. He tried so hard to make everything feel beautiful, but to Emma, it didn't feel beautiful. The apartment looked perfect. It was clean and bright. There were matching pillows on the couch and books on the shelves. It looked like a picture from a magazine, but to Emma, it felt like a stage, not a home. It didn't feel real. She couldn't breathe in the apartment. It wasn't where she wanted to be. Emma smiled when people saw her and Leo together. When people told her, "You two look so good together," she would smile and say, "Thank you." But inside, it didn't feel right. She smiled because she was supposed to, not because she really felt happy. Behind her smile, there was a little lie. She told this lie so often that sometimes she almost believed it herself. But Emma knew that she wasn't living the life she wanted. Every time Leo hugged her, Emma would hold her breath. She smiled, but inside, she felt like she was watching someone else's life. It felt like she was just playing a role, and she was tired of pretending. She didn't want to act anymore. She wanted to feel something real. At work, Emma's co-workers would laugh and share stories. Emma would join in the conversation and talk about recipes or weekend plans. But inside her mind, there was one question: what am I doing with my life? Sometimes, Emma would go to the restroom just to be alone. She would sit on the closed toilet and close her eyes. There, in the silence, she could think. She didn't hate her life, but she didn't love it either. She felt like she was floating through life, just going through the same routine every day. Leo would pick Emma up from work some days. He would open the car door for her and smile. "I missed you today," he would say. Emma would smile back, but she didn't miss him, and that made her feel guilty. At night, as they lay in bed, Leo would fall asleep quickly. Emma would stay awake, staring at the ceiling. She would whisper, "I'm sorry." She wasn't sure if Leo heard her, but she needed to say it. She needed to tell herself that she was sorry for not being honest with him. Emma knew that she couldn't keep living this way. She couldn't keep pretending that everything was fine when it wasn't. She had married Leo to forget Alex. But in the end, she realized that she hadn't been fair to Leo. She had been pretending, and she didn't know how much longer she could continue living this lie. Every day, Emma tried to ignore her feelings, but deep down, she knew the truth. She wasn't happy. She wasn't in love with Leo. She had built a life that looked good on the outside, but inside, she was living a lie. She didn't know what to do next, but she knew one thing: she couldn't keep pretending forever. This is where Emma's story begins. She didn't know what would happen next, but she knew that something had to change. She could no longer live in a life where she was pretending to be happy. It was time for Emma to face the truth, even if it meant making difficult decisions. One evening, Leo picked Emma up from work. He opened the car door for her and smiled. "I missed you today," he said. Emma smiled back, but she didn't feel the same. She didn't miss him. This made her feel awful inside. She wanted to feel the same way Leo did, but she didn't. She couldn't understand why she didn't love him. Emma felt guilty, but she didn't know how to change things. Later that night, Leo fell asleep quickly beside her in bed. Emma lay awake, staring at the ceiling. She whispered to herself, "I'm sorry." She wasn't sure if Leo could hear her, but she needed to say it. Every day, she smiled at Leo, but inside, she felt empty. She pretended to be happy because she didn't want to hurt him, but deep down, she knew she was lying. Every Friday, Leo would do something special for Emma. He would set the table, light candles, and play soft music. That evening, Emma came home to a beautiful dinner. Leo had cooked her favorite meal, chicken pasta with garlic bread. He wore the blue shirt she once told him she liked, and the apartment smelled of fresh basil. Leo smiled when Emma walked in, and his eyes said, "I've been waiting for you all day." He pulled out her chair, poured the wine, and made a toast. "To us," he said. Emma raised her glass and repeated, "To us," but she didn't feel it. The food was good, the music was soft, and Leo told her funny stories from work. He laughed, and Emma smiled, but inside, she felt cold. She wasn't angry, she wasn't sad, she just felt empty. Emma watched Leo as he spoke. His hands moved with excitement, and his eyes were full of life. He seemed so sure of himself, and Emma felt like she was fading next to him. After dinner, Leo took her hand and said, "Let's go for a walk." Emma followed him, but she didn't feel the joy that Leo seemed to feel. They walked to the park near their apartment, the same park where Leo had proposed to her a year ago. Under the old oak tree, Leo looked at her with hope in his eyes and said, "Remember this place." "I told you I would love you forever." Emma wanted to scream. She wanted to tell Leo, "I don't love you." "I never did," but she didn't. She stayed silent. She didn't want to destroy his happiness, even if it meant destroying her own peace. She looked at the tree, then at Leo, and stayed quiet. She remembered the night Leo had proposed. There had been fairy lights in the park, and Leo had held a small box in his hand, looking nervous but full of love. He had said, "Emma, you make me believe in forever." And Emma had said, yes, not because she loved him, but because she wanted to feel something, anything. Now, a year later, they stood in the same spot. Everything felt different. The lights were gone, the magic was gone, and only the tree remained. Leo took Emma's hand again and said, "I still believe in us. I know it's been hard, but I believe in you. I believe in us." Emma looked at him. He meant every word, and that made it worse. She couldn't feel the same way. She looked down at the ground, then at the street, and in that moment, she imagined walking away. She imagined turning around and leaving Leo behind. But she didn't. She stayed because she didn't want to hurt him. She didn't know where she would go. She didn't want to leave him, but at the same time, she didn't feel ready to stay. She felt stuck. That night, Emma couldn't sleep. She sat on the floor beside the bed, feeling heavy inside. She didn't cry, but she felt the weight of her feelings. For the first time, she thought to herself, "I need to leave. I'm not built for this kind of love." She knew she couldn't continue living this way. She couldn't keep pretending that everything was fine when it wasn't. The next morning, Emma and Leo had breakfast together. Leo made pancakes, and he smiled across the table at Emma. "Emma, can I ask you something?" he said. Emma nodded. He looked at her with a serious yet gentle expression. "Do you want to have a baby?" he asked. Emma froze. Her fork stopped in the air. She couldn't look at Leo. How could she bring a child into this life? A life where she didn't feel true love. Her hands became cold, and she opened her mouth to speak, but no words came out. Finally, after a long silence, Emma whispered, "I'm not ready." Leo didn't argue, he simply nodded slowly, but Emma could see the sadness in his eyes. He didn't ask her again, he just stood up and started washing the dishes. He didn't say anything else. Emma felt a mixture of guilt and confusion. She wasn't ready to bring a child into a life that didn't feel real, but she didn't know how to fix it. Later that evening, Emma wrote in her journal, "Leo wants to build a future, but I'm still trying to survive the present." She couldn't think about the future because she hadn't even figured out how to face her feelings right now. She wasn't sure what to do next. She couldn't keep pretending that everything was fine. Something had to change, but she didn't know what. As she walked into the bedroom later that night, Leo was reading. He smiled at her, and Emma smiled back. But inside, she felt like she was disappearing. The thought of having a baby with Leo, of building a future together, felt like a lie. She wasn't being true to herself, and that hurt more than anything else. The next day, Emma knew she couldn't keep living like this. She had to face the truth. She had to make a decision, but what should she do? Should she stay with Leo, even though she didn't love him? Or should she leave, even though it would break his heart? For the first time, Emma knew that it was time to face the truth and make a choice. She couldn't keep pretending that everything was fine. She had to be honest with herself and with Leo, even if it meant changing her life forever. After Emma made the difficult decision to leave Leo, she moved into her grandmother Nana's house. Nana's home was small, but it felt safe and comforting. It was a place where Emma could think clearly and finally face her feelings. For the first time in a long time, Emma didn't have to pretend. She didn't have to act like she was happy when she wasn't. She could simply be herself. At Nana's house, Emma began to reflect on her life. She took long walks by the lake, where she could think about her past and her future. With each walk, Emma felt a little lighter. She started to understand herself more. She realized that she had been so focused on trying to fix things for others, especially Leo, that she had forgotten about herself. Now, she had the chance to focus on her own needs and happiness. One day, while out walking, Emma saw a flyer for a creative writing class. It said, "Creative writing, Wednesday nights, 7 p.m. Something inside her told her to go. She had never thought about writing before, but she felt like this could be a way for her to express her feelings. Writing might help her understand what was going on in her heart and mind. She signed up for the class, even though she was a little nervous. When Emma walked into the class, she saw that there were 8 people in total, all different ages, from different backgrounds. At first, she felt unsure, she didn't know what to expect, and she worried that she wouldn't be good enough. But as the class began, Emma felt more at ease. She listened to others share their stories and their writing. It made her realize that everyone had their own struggles, and it was okay to feel vulnerable. Slowly, she began to write. She put her thoughts and feelings on paper, and it helped her feel better. One night after the class, Emma wrote in her journal, "I lost love before I ever found it, but now I am finding myself." This simple sentence was a turning point for her. She understood that she couldn't keep looking for love outside of herself. She needed to love herself first. This was the start of her healing. Weeks passed, and Emma continued to grow stronger. She found a small studio apartment near the bookstore where she worked. It wasn't fancy, but it was her own space. She painted the walls light yellow and put flowers by the window. She enjoyed making her own coffee every morning and sitting in silence. At first, the silence felt strange, but soon Emma realized that it was peaceful. She no longer felt the need to fill the space with noise or distractions. She had learned to enjoy her own company. One day, Emma found the necklace that Leo had given her. It was a small heart-shaped pendant, and at first, it made her feel sad. But then, she realized that it was time to let go of the past. She couldn't wear the necklace anymore because it didn't represent the love she had hoped for. It represented a time in her life that she needed to move on from. She placed the necklace in a box with a note that said, "Thank you for your kindness. I couldn't wear this, but I'll never forget it." She asked Nana to return the necklace to Leo, and that was the last connection she had with him. Letting go of the necklace was an important step in Emma's journey. It was a symbol of her healing and moving forward. She realized that it wasn't about holding on to things from the past. It was about embracing the present and creating her own future. Emma had learned that it was okay to let go of things that no longer served her, even if it was hard. As Emma continued to live on her own, she began to feel more independent. She was no longer afraid of being alone. In fact, she found peace in her solitude. She began to see the beauty in small moments, the warmth of the sun on her face, the sound of birds singing in the morning, the quiet of her apartment at night. She wasn't looking for happiness in someone else anymore. She was learning to create her own happiness. One day, Emma looked at herself in the mirror and smiled. It wasn't the smile she used to give to others to hide her feelings. It was a real smile, one that came from deep within. She had finally stopped pretending, she had found her own voice, and she was proud of who she had become. Emma's journey wasn't easy, and it didn't happen overnight. But she had learned to heal, to accept herself, and to love herself. She had discovered that it was okay to make mistakes, and it was okay to not have everything figured out. What mattered was that she was living her life authentically, not pretending anymore. Through the pain, Emma had found her strength. She realized that the most important love she could give was the love she gave to herself. She was no longer trapped in a life that wasn't hers. She had learned to listen to her own heart and follow her own path. Emma's story was not perfect, but it was hers. She had found peace within herself, and that was all she needed to begin living a full and happy life. In the end, Emma's journey was one of self-discovery, healing, and finding peace within herself. She started her life feeling empty and pretending to be happy, trapped in a marriage that wasn't built on love. Emma had married Leo to forget her past, but the truth was, she couldn't build a future with someone she didn't truly love. As time went on, she realized she had been living a lie, and the only way to be truly happy was to face the truth and change her life. Leaving Leo was not easy for Emma. She felt guilty. But she also knew that staying in the marriage would only hurt both of them in the long run. By moving to Nana's house, Emma was able to find a space where she could think and reflect on what she really wanted in life. She started walking by the lake, feeling the peace and calm that came with being alone. She signed up for a creative writing class, where she began to express her emotions and understand herself better. Each day, she grew stronger, finding joy in small moments and learning to love herself. Through her journey, Emma realized that healing is not a fast process. It takes time, reflection, and the courage to make difficult decisions. She learned that she didn't need someone else to make her happy. She could create her own happiness by accepting herself, letting go of the past, and living authentically. Her smile at the end was not just a smile of relief, but a smile of strength and self-love. Emma found the peace she had been searching for, and she was finally able to live her life the way she wanted. The lesson from Emma's story is clear. Sometimes, we need to stop pretending, face the truth, and make changes in our lives, even if it is hard. The first step to real happiness is being honest with ourselves and accepting who we are. We don't need to hold on to past mistakes or regrets. Instead, we should focus on living in the present, letting go of what doesn't serve us, and embracing the future with confidence. You can apply this lesson in your own life by taking small steps towards self-acceptance. Reflect on what makes you truly happy, and don't be afraid to make changes. Whether it's a relationship, a job, or a habit, know that you have the power to create a life that aligns with your true self. The journey to healing may not be easy, but it is worth it. Congratulations on improving your listening and understanding of English by following Emma's story. Keep practicing, and you'll continue to grow in your language skills. To make it even more fun, we have a little quiz for you. Question: what was the key lesson Emma learned in her journey? A: you must always stay in a relationship to make others happy. B: being honest with yourself and making changes in your life leads to true happiness. Please comment your answer with the or B below. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Your support motivates us to create even more content for you to improve your English. If you enjoyed this story, please consider donating to help fund the channel. Creating quality content takes time and effort, and your donation will help us continue providing free resources to help you learn English. Thank you for being a part of this journey.